Hawkinson. I'm with partner at Snip Partners, a technology company located here in Chicago. And we have a SaaS platform called Velocity, which enables brands at an enterprise level to automate and maximize their local, social, and mobile presence for thousands of locations. And currently there's tens of thousands of businesses that are currently utilizing the platform. And my role at Snip Partners is to oversee the mobile app development that we do. In addition to that, the social media component for Velocity. And today I'm going to talk about social media from a business standpoint and the technology that's driving that, how we got there, and where we're at currently, and some of the pain points that businesses have in coping with social media and the technology to manage it. It's a little cliche, I know, but you often find yourself saying, man, we are in the future. This is the future. We're already in it. And it's true to a certain extent. When you think about the technology that's happening out there and the devices that we're seeing, everything from a Google Glass to tablets and all these this really cool stuff. I always think back to, you may have seen the movie The Minority Report, and you think about what happens in that movie when Tom Cruise's character is actually walking by advertising, digital advertising is conforming and changing to his preferences and what he wants to, what he likes, his interests. And we're seeing those kind of things happen now. You log into Facebook and you're seeing ads that are tailored to you. You're seeing ads that are based on your preferences, your hobbies, your interests, what your friends like. So we're seeing a lot of those things happen. And then in addition to that, really those cool devices and cool gadgets, all that stuff is happening. So everything is moving so fast. That was 10 years ago. And everything is moving so fast that it feels like we are already in that future. How do we get here? I mean, you think back to the first text message. You probably say that was like, you've got technology, you've got the ability to communicate through a mobile device, and then really ushering in what happened in the 90s, the mid-90s. I mean, everything from AOL chat rooms to AOL chat rooms to IRC, BBS, your first actual desktop sites. Geared around social media. By the end of the 20th century, you had 250 million people, active users on the internet. That just set up a whole new user base for more social media sites that came about throughout the 2000s. Really, I mean, by the mid-2000s, this really ushered in what really became what we know as social media today. And 5 years later, a billion people using the internet. So. It was a pretty exciting time, and I know that a lot of people have been through that time. And a lot of that was driven by the fact that, one of the things I think, we can always point to is really the advent of the smartphone and really the iPhone and everything that came after that. You look at like having that type of computing power in your hand, to be able to access social media, that type of technology, that really was able to take, really social media to the next level in terms of how people were interacting, how people were integrating themselves with social media. And then, leading into, again, subsequently, having the iPad, more social media websites. What I always think is great is that because of smartphone technology is, I look at that as being really the tipping point. When you think about when smartphones actually took over overall sales over desktops, you can say, what, that was really a defining moment when you're talking about technology, you're talking about social media. And really what it did is it ushered in yet another layer of social media where you've got applications that are mobile only, that you actually have to access through your mobile device to view and to interact with and participate in. So it's creating like another level of social media. Again, that all was derived from actually, from the mobile phone. And then just to make it even, more exciting, you've got a whole other niche social media where you've got communities that are building applications and sites that are all mobile-based, again, around hobbies, around interests, where somebody's like, yeah, I do my Facebook thing and I do my Twitter thing and all that, but, I really love this app because I can actually talk to people and communicate with people that have the same interests and ideas and same likes and hobbies as me. So, it's really exciting to have another layer on top of that foundation of social media that happened over the last decade. So we get to this point now, and businesses by this point they're jumping in. They're like, we need to be here. as companies, how do we get involved? How do we do more with social media? 82% of all, of people in the world's population are accessing social media. And this shouldn't be a big surprise. I mean, it's 1.2 billion users around the world. 2/3 of businesses are on social media. They're using it for a variety of things, for marketing and engagement and other functions. Businesses have said 37% of businesses, and this is by the end of last year, expect to be using social media regularly across their entire business. 9% expect to be fully integrated. These are low numbers. But where are we at now? You think about what companies are doing and what social media platforms are doing to get better and make their experiences better. You think about like a Facebook, which launched Graph Search. This is Facebook, a social site, the largest social site, saying, you know what, how can we improve what we're doing? How can we provide results that are more useful for an experience that's more useful for our users? And that is creating, the ability to have Graph Search and then really become more of a local experience. So it's like just taking it, the next step. Now you've got Facebook, which has now more users accessing Facebook from their mobile device. Now you've got Facebook, the social media giant, now doing local, and so it's making things really interesting and really interesting for businesses. So even yesterday, I was sitting in one of the panels, and then they said that this year, actually Q2 of this year, that mobile internet will surpass desktop internet. And I don't think that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and that's happening right now. And more and more people are using mobile devices, and you can see all around. We're all seeing accessing mobile devices. Almost 3 billion users, as of March of this year, using the internet. 40% of the world's population. The top social sites, again, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, which still is a social site. So businesses, they've been playing catch up. They're trying to get better at what they've been doing. And what businesses have been doing so far on social media, 59% have been engaging with their customers. 49% have been using social media to advertise. 35% to research their customers, and 30% to research competitors and new products. But it's still not enough. I mean, there is an opportunity for businesses in social media, and that is really becoming a social business. And I think becoming a social business, and you can say, well, what's a social business? A social business is a few things. One, it's having social characteristics. Clearly, you need to have social characteristics. You might not be able to see it very well, but I'll tell you what it says. And then business rules, having a workflow process, and using a technology platform. That's what it means to be a social business. So how do you become a social business? First, find the right tool. There's a lot of tools out there in the marketplace. When we talk about social media management, where do you start? And really, you have to one, survey what's out there in the marketplace in terms of technology and these type of social media management tools. But also look at your company. What does your company need? Are you a startup? Are you a long-time brand? Do you have one location? Do you have multi-locations? You need an entry point. You need a Hootsuite. That can just do, handle your Facebook and your Twitter. You need something more robust. You need something about social. Or do you have many locations? And you need something that has the ability to send out messaging throughout thousands of locations. So you really need to look at that technology. And there's a lot of great platforms, and this isn't all of them, but this is some of the great technology that you can use. But you need to find, this is a good place to start, is finding what technology is going to work best for your particular company. But no tool is any good without having the right people. You've got to activate the right people in your company. And I think this is one of the biggest pain points I've seen a lot of companies, and they talked about this in the panel right before this one, in the Twitter panel. And it's finding that person in your company, and I see it so many times where a lot of companies will say, by default, guess what? You're going to handle our Facebook page, and you're going to run our Twitter account. And they may not be the best person. It might be the person that's answering the phones, or the HR person, or it just might be somebody that may not be what they want to do or what they're good at doing. So you really have to find that person, and sometimes it may not be somebody that exists within your company. And you know, Java didn't exist 5 years ago, but you've got companies that have social media managers, social media team leaders, social media analysts, social media strategists. All those new positions exist now because of social media and the technology. But yeah, you've got community managers within your company. I mean, this is very clear. You've got customer service reps that we talked again in the last session. We were talking about using Twitter as a customer relations tool, and having those people engaged with your social media platform and your presence is going to go a long way. One area that a lot of businesses don't really think about is their sales. How is your sales team, how is your business development team engaged with your social media presence? What are they doing in social media? How are they using social media along with your company? And then of course recruiters. Whether you're a startup or again, you've been around here, I feel like at even our company, we're always looking to get great people on board. We're using social media as a tool to go out and do recruiting. These are all the people that can be activated. And again, depending on your company, maybe your company is small and it only takes one person to kind of oversee this, having the right tool. Or if you're a very large company, you may need a team of people because you've got a lot of things going on. So why is this? Why is that important? 71% of internet users are likely to purchase from a brand for the following. It's a no-brainer. You think about it, if you're following a company, if you're following, some business on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you're more likely to buy it because you're seeing their regular posts every day. So it's important to be out there. It's important to be consistent. It's important to have clear messaging and great content strategy and the right people engaged with the company that are overseeing this on a good, solid piece of technology. 46% of online customers expect brands to provide customer service on Facebook, but only 23% provide it. This is, again, something they were talking about in the last panel, and this is definitely one of those areas where I feel a lot of companies could improve on. And I think many people have that experience where you send a message, you post it on their Facebook page, or you reply to them on Twitter, you're like, yeah, I've done this myself. Like, are you going to go this weekend? What's your, I want to come in, and they'll say, yeah, you just don't get a response. And it's frustrating. You think it's kind of akin to walking into a Target store and you go to the customer service desk, and there's a bunch of people behind the desk, but nobody comes to even acknowledge that you're there. Think about that when you're thinking of your presence on Facebook or Twitter, and the people that are trying to communicate and trying to get a response. It's critical, and that's part of going back to being a social business and having the right workflow. Who is responsible for actually responding to those tweets and those Facebook posts? I talked about sales a little bit. Again, I feel like this is definitely an area when we were talking about social business and what companies can do, is really activating that sales team and your inside sales team. What they're doing from a social media standpoint, but they're seeing less. 26% are seeing more opportunities than those that are not engaged with social media. 11% are identifying opportunity revenue over those that are no. When you're talking about recruiting, the flip side of it is that you've got people that are looking to work for your company. You've got a company, especially like a startup, and you're trying to get people on board. And job seekers, this is a study that Career Builder in Avera did. And when people are looking for a job, they're typically running a Google search. They're looking at the website. They want to see any news that's happening about the company. But they're checking the Facebook page. They want to see what the company's Facebook page, what does it say about the company. They're following them on Twitter. And think about that for a second. What does your Facebook page say about you as a company? What does your Twitter account say about you as a company? All those different, you look at all those different social networks out there that you have presence on, whether it's LinkedIn or Google Plus or whatever. When somebody's going there and they're thinking about, working for your company, what are they seeing? So, extremely important. And it can be overwhelming. This is just a small portion of what's available out there from a social networking standpoint. But the thing is that again, if you decide, if you go down that path and you're like, yes, we want to become a social business. How do we become that social business? How can we get better at it? because it's overwhelming. And again, starting with the things that I just mentioned, but there are companies that are doing it very well. You talk about like a Starbucks, which is a really smart company. They've got thousands of locations. They're really smart. So at Facebook, they set up a parent-child relationship with Facebook. So for them, it's a way to keep everything under one umbrella, and again, all that's rolling up to their corporate page. So for example, I like Facebook, I like Starbucks, but I really love the Starbucks that I go to on the way to work because they know me, I know them. I don't even have to tell them what I want because they'll make it for me, they've got it ready. And so I'm likely to like them and follow them on Facebook. And Starbucks is smart. They're like, yeah, we've got a location page, we have a profile for them, that particular location in Facebook. So I like them, but all those likes roll up to the corporate page. So if they've got thousands of locations all set up within Facebook, and they have them all set up under their parent-child relationship, now you've got a situation where whether a location has 100 likes or 1,000 likes or whatever, all those are rolling up to Facebook or to their corporate page. Nordstrom's another great example. One, they really embrace technology as a company. If you're familiar with the brand and the store, really love technology. That mindset is really, they've applied that to their position on social media and have a really solid social local strategy. Creating those individual profile pages within the Facebook for their accounts, having different Twitter accounts for their stores. And that's big for them because then when you do a search, you're likely to find them, especially when you search here in Chicago. And they're not afraid to experiment with new social media platforms as they come about. If you go to their Pinterest page, it's crazy. I mean, it's like it's not about, again, they've got it figured out, and it's why I like using them as an example because it's not about just putting a bunch of products on there and saying, this is the services, this is the products that we do, check them out. But it's really about ideas and concepts and emotions, getting people attached to, what they're doing, and getting people to have that emotional attachment to the things that they do as a company. Another company that's really done well in becoming a social business and is IBM. IBM, for them as a company, and you can think of different ideas that you have of IBM as this big old school computer network company, but they activated their employees on social. It was a big this is a big step for them. And then having their human resources HR actually utilizing social media for their training and education and leadership development. I mean, this is a big step. I mean, this isn't this is a big deal to be using the social networking platforms to do these kind of things for a business such as an IBM. But they're also, bringing their sales team up to speed with what they're doing on social media and engaging on social media to help improve. Improving employee productivity through the use of social tools. We talked about some of the sales that we're doing. Again, they're seeing lifts across the board. In some cases, it's incremental. In some cases, it's big. But again, they're seeing lifts from inside sales from being engaged with social media. So, again, to kind of wrap up a little bit here, social media, social business, why is it important? Again, increase the brand awareness. I mean, I think we understand that. You need to be out there. Improving online visibility. You do a search for a company, a brand, business anymore. You go to Google and put it in. You're going to get the Google Plus result. You're going to get their Facebook page. You're going to get their Twitter. More and more, all these social networks are becoming, are showing up in organic search results. So, increasing your visibility. Of course, you're going to get that benefit out of it. Enhancing effective communication just with customers. Being able to tie that relationship. And a great thing that was said in the last panel, and that was, you don't have a relationship with an actual business, or a brand. You have a relationship with people. So being able to really be effective with that and enhance that through social media, that's huge. I would say also uniting your fans and followers and having brand advocates and people that love what you do and love your company so much that there are people that bond over that and will actually kind of spread that word for you. So it's great, when you actually develop that social presence as a business, to get that it's pretty exciting to see. Also bringing your employees together. If you you think about the employees that work at your company, if you actually empower them to be active on social media and excited about what you're doing from a social media standpoint, using the right platform, the right technology to manage your social media, they get excited. If you're working for a company, you actually see, what your company's doing and what type of information they're providing out there in the social networks. Again, it's kind of unifying them as well. And then, lastly, opening the door to new opportunities. There's a big difference between, I talk to companies that are like, we already got a Facebook page, we're covered. Oh, we're already on Twitter, we're covered. And then I go look at it, and it's like, they haven't posted anything in 3 months. It's like, really? It's like you just think having a Facebook page is all you need to do. It takes a lot more than that, but when you actually start to engage and actually do that and use tools to help automate that process, I mean, that's a big part of it is having the technology that you can actually manage. If you've got, many different social networks you've got to oversee, or you've got many different locations you've got to oversee. But opening that door to opportunities of new business, potentially new people working at your company that are great people, but there's all kinds of opportunities that you can get out of it. So I started this presentation talking about the future and the fact that we're living in the future. And I think now, more than ever, I think companies and businesses, brands, again, whether they're very small or whether they're very large, this is the time that they really have to embrace, social media and, really find and not waiting for the future to happen and actually become the future. So that's what I leave you with, be the future. If you have any questions or anything, I don't know if we have any time. I can ask questions, and also we have we're out here exhibiting too in the expo hall, right outside. So if you have you want to talk to us about Velocity or SIM partners, we're out there too. So yeah.
So how do you stay in front of the next social network, or when do you know to change your focus from one social network to another? Like, is there a tipping point that you identify?
Well, when we see new social network, we're like, let's do it. There's nothing to stop you from doing it. Even try it, and maybe it lasts, maybe it doesn't last. But I think it's good to know, what's out there, and at least experiment with it, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know when it's going to take off. So at least if you establish a presence there, and again, it goes back to being that social business and being able to activate the right people that can identify, oh my gosh, there's a new social media network that's happening, so we need to jump on that and do that and get engaged with it. So I really think that you just need to do it. I would just say do it when you see it. Yes?
So to this question, so what does that mean though for content? So if it's something like Twitter and Facebook, you could take your Twitter, your tweet and have it go directly to Facebook. You don't need to create new content.
Right.
But it might be a different format where, how do you decide that it's worth the time for you to maybe create new content for different types of things?
Right, well, that's a good thing.
Like Pinterest is a good example. That takes a little bit of time to...
Exactly. Yeah, it does. What a great thing that you can do is actually establish that content. And again, going back to being a social business, it's having a content strategy and having an overall strategy. And knowing, okay, we know that this week, here's what we're going to do. It's not this random thing where you're just sitting there like, well, we got a tweet today. Oh, well, we got to put something on Facebook. But it's being able to pull some content. And a lot of these technologies actually are able to do that, where they've actually got a content library that you can actually populate and say, okay, for this month, here's the content that we're going to use. So if you're actually using a technology to actually do that, and a new social network comes along, and you're like, okay, now we got to deal with that. Well, your content's already there. It already exists.
So you don't think there's any sort of negative connotation to the same thing that you're using everywhere? You don't think there's any sort of negative sense to, you guys are just putting the same thing?
Well, I think you have a different voice depending upon where you're at. And I think for me, one of the things that I see a lot, I think the companies just haven't figured out yet, is how to have a voice for Twitter, how to have a voice for Facebook, and I think having, again, it goes back to having the right people activated, having the evangelist that's working for you as a social media site that knows I need to say this, or this message is going to go out differently. But having, again, you use this platform that can say, okay, here's a message that's going to go out to Facebook pages, here's a message that's going to go out to Twitter, and then whatever other social network. So it's being able to take that content and then customizing it, and knowing that the person that is in charge of it knows what they're doing, and that is activated directly. Yeah.
To piggyback on what they're saying, it can be really overwhelming. So
Yes.
to understand where do you go and when do you do it, to their point, but it's so expansive. It's more like that arc that you showed of all the things
Yes.
that you do.
Yes.
What is your recommendation to wrangle that and to manage it? Is it via a platform? Is
Yes.
it something else? What would you say?
I would say find the platform that's best for you. Again, it might be an entry point like a Hootsuite, for example. It might be something a little more robust. It might be like a Sprout Social. It just depends on the kind of company you have. But you can get, again, when I talk about the top 3 social media websites, if you're doing well on those 3, you're really covering like 90+% of what's happening in social media. It's great to go down the path of trying to target like hyper-local social media and niche social media. But if you're covering those big 3, you're in pretty good shape. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jay.